Hey, let's take a look at Meta. It's been about 2 weeks since we last checked in. The price went from 294 up to 298. The plan is just to go over the news, what's been going on with this company for the past 2 weeks. If I had to summarize the past 2 weeks, it's basically a bunch of warnings and new rules that Meta's going to have to play by, especially in the EU. But there's a lot of headlines that or I guess storylines that Meta's involved in. So we're just going to go through that, and then we'll wrap up with a technical analysis to see, is 298 a good time to pick this one up? And if it isn't, what is a good time? So to start off, Meta should use the EU online content rules that apply to them this Friday to restore trust and safety in their platforms. And this is from the EU's Brenton over the Digital Services Act. This is DSA. There's also a DMA, which we'll mention or we'll discuss later. But DSA, this requires the companies to perform risk management, conduct external and independent auditing, share data with authorities and researchers, and adopt a code of conduct. So the 5 changes that this is pretty much going to do is, and again, this is just for the EU, probably is going to expand elsewhere, but for now it's the EU. Within the Meta platform, you can turn off AI recommended videos, and I guess just content in general. It's easier to flag harmful content. You'll know why your post was taken down. You can report fake products, and kids won't be targeted with digital ads. If any of these rules are broken, fines can go up to 6% of the company's global turnover for violations. So those are the new rules, and we've definitely touched on this earlier, especially with other companies like Google and Microsoft. But yeah, I didn't realize this was in effect on Friday, but that is, I guess, time just flies. So that's in effect. So we need to that again, these are new rules and kind of warnings. So these are kind of the risks we need to be aware of. The potential fines, that's a lot, but hopefully everything's good. We also have Facebook settled a class action lawsuit for $725 million. That should probably show up on the cash flow somewhere. We'll keep an eye out for it. The settlement comes from a suit alleging that Facebook, now Meta, used or shared with third parties user data without the permission of their users. Facebook allegedly did not monitor or enforce third-party access and use. Meta denied wrongdoing, but in a statement following settlement agreement, we pursued a settlement as it's in the best interest of our community and shareholders. Seems like these are kind of linked. And I believe this is in America, this class action lawsuit. And so we're going to see how this kind of plays out if it spreads across the lands, this DSA. Because again, right now it's just in the EU. We also have, let's see, the European Commission said it had offered to conduct DSA stress tests with 19 platforms, and Facebook participated, which is good. That means they want to make sure they pass these tests here. Research published on Thursday by some nonprofit, ECO, shows Facebook was still approving online ads containing harmful content. Again, this is a warning. Their organization submitted 13 ads containing harmful content as a test. Facebook approved 8 of them and denied 5. Meta then said that this report was based on a small sample size, very true, of ads, and is not representative of the number of ads in total as we review across the world daily. So again, kind of a warning here. If we're going to pick up Facebook, we need to be aware, or I should say Meta. If we're going to pick up Meta, we need to be aware that Facebook is kind of dealing with this, along with Instagram. But just got to be aware of this. Meta's to launch an AI model for writing computer codes. So they launched a bunch of AI products this year, and this is just one of the latest. Canada's to start planning on how it will make internet giants pay for news. Kind of brought this up in the past, and I guess Meta's plan was, we're just going to remove all news from our social media platforms when it comes to Canada. Uh, and so, like I said, looks clear that Meta's going to remove those. So Canada can come up with this plan all they want, but I think Meta's made their decision, and there's not really anything they can do about it. U.S. Senate's Schumer to host Musk, Zuckerberg, and other tech leaders at an AI forum. So we'll host the tech leaders at this AI forum on September 13th. So coming up, we'll see what the results are. But his plan is to just discuss the forum to lay down a new foundation for AI policy. So again, this is new technology. Just want to make sure it's kind of set up properly, and we'll see how that turns out. Meta's Canada news ban fails to dent Facebook usage. So that was Facebook's claim in that storyline, that people don't use Facebook or Instagram or any of their social media platforms for news. I think we'll touch on it again a third time later, because we're just going in chronological order here, that like 3% of users use use Facebook to find news, including Canada. That's like worldwide. So they kind of have a case here. But Meta rejects recommendation to suspend former Cambodia Prime Minister from Facebook. Just thought it was interesting because it had to deal with like a leader. So the video, it's a little cut off here, but the video was posted with a claim of inciting violence. The post has been removed, but Meta's oversight board voted to suspend the prime minister, but ultimately Meta determined that suspending accounts outside a regular enforcement framework would not be consistent with their policies, including our protocol on restricting accounts of public figures during civil unrest. I mean, to me, it seems like it was just a once, like a misjudgment or something. It was just a quick response to a comment or something, like, or a video, I suppose. But it seems like it was just a slip of the tongue, and it wasn't meant to be harmful, but people could take it that way. And so yeah, the video was pulled down. It looks like, I mean, from my perspective, it seems like they made the right call here. Meta may allow Facebook and Instagram users in EU to pay to avoid ads. So this kind of goes into the DSA and the DMA that the EU is going into. This is just not sure how this will play out, because either way they're going to have to follow those new rules. But this is a way that they could maybe make money through this. It's interesting. We'll see if it does anything. But so they're considering a paid version of Facebook and Instagram with no ads for users residing in, again, just the EU, as a response to scrutiny from regulators. Those who pay for the subscriptions would not see ads, while Meta would also continue to offer free versions of the app. This may help Meta combat privacy concerns and other scrutiny from the EU, as it would give users an alternate to the company's ad-based services, which rely on analyzing people's data. And that's kind of how this all started. People are getting tracked, and no one really knows what they're tracking, how much they're tracking. And yeah, so this just kind of goes into it that, hey, if you sign up for this, we're not going to track you. And hopefully they can prove that if requested. Should have put a picture here, but Malaysia mulls rules that Meta and other companies to pay news outlets for content. Another Canada situation here. It's probably not going to go anywhere, but it was mentioned. Meta, now looking ahead, wants to drop the Facebook News tab in some European countries. They'll discontinue that Facebook News feature in its social media app in the UK, France, and Germany later this year. Users will still be able to view links to news articles, and European news publishers will continue to have access to their Facebook accounts and pages after the change is implemented in December. And as we mentioned earlier, news makes up less than 3% of what people around the world see in their Facebook feed. And I'm not sure if we mention it later about this, but Facebook actually gave a lot to having the news featured. I think they had like a news division for something like $600 million in these European countries, but I guess all the scares happening with Canada Apparently, Malaysia wants to try this. I think Australia did it too. So to have all these countries do this, it's like, I guess Facebook's like, why are we even bothering with that? Because I guess it's not enough. So they're just gonna, you know, fold their cards on that. But we'll see how this kind of evolves over time. But that looks like the way it's going to go. News can still be on there. It's just we're not going to pay you, and if you want us to pay you, then we're just going to remove it. You know, because it's not impacting us at all. It's not like news is driving people to Facebook, and so that's the trade-off. They're asking for too much, I guess. But Norway court, they're ruling against Facebook owner Meta in privacy case. So this was a storyline that we started last time. A Norwegian court ruled on stopping an attempt by the owner of Facebook and Instagram to halt a fine imposed by the country's data regulator. So this is that fine of roughly $100,000, started back in August 14th for harvesting user data and using it to target advertising at them. So Meta tried to set up a case saying, hey, let's stop this so we can kind of work it out. And Norway was like, no, you still need to pay that. And so, again, I don't, from my perspective, it sounds like this case, because again, Norway's not in the EU, and I think that's what's happening here. It seems like Meta already set up something to, like, fix this problem that Norway has. So hopefully it's an easy fix. It sounds like Norway can just kind of get bundled up with that EU DSA agreement, and hopefully it's that simple. But again, $100,000 isn't going to really impact this much, but it adds up, and you don't want to pay that for no reason. So hopefully they can fix that. So this is the other one, the EU's Digital Markets Act, so DMA. This is aimed at making it easier for people to move between competing services such as social media platforms, internet browsers, and app stores. But it looks like it goes into a little bit more than that. So the DMA gatekeeper services will now have to gain explicit consent before tracking a user for advertising purposes. So that sounds similar to the DSA, so it seems like there's some overlap here. Business customers using online ad services provided by Meta will also be empowered to ask for data collected in relation to their campaigns, a valuable resource often kept hidden from business owners. DMA's new interoperability rules, gatekeepers' messaging apps will no longer be siloed off from others. EU has thus far only designated Meta's Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp services. Users would be free to instantly message contacts via other apps like Signal or Telegram from these platforms. And this affects other companies too, but Meta here, yeah, they just need to incorporate other apps to be more operable with other platforms, which I guess hopefully that's more involved, but yeah, it was meant to be like a Meta or Facebook Messenger messages Facebook Messenger. Yeah, like hopefully that makes sense. Two people with Facebook Messenger can do each other, but they couldn't do some other app, which makes sense, but they're saying that's not fair all of a sudden. So very interesting. I don't think these will have big impacts. That business customers one, again, I don't think it'll be a big impact. It's just Meta maybe thought that wasn't that important, but sure, I guess you can have it. But anyway, so these rules are enforceable starting in March, so a little ways away. They can kind of implement this and get it ready, because that interoperability rule, that might be a challenge. I don't know. But yeah, they have till March. Penalties if they don't comply include fines or a possible company breakup. Fines here for violations of this law go up to 10% of total annual worldwide revenues for these companies. Repeat offenders can go as high as 20%. So again, another warning and new rules for Meta. So just We want to be aware of that. Meta is to prep an artificial intelligence announcement. So the plans to tell customers about its AI advancements at its MetaConnect virtual event, September 27th and 28th. Going to start off with a keynote presentation by Mark Zuckerberg himself. We look for Meta to introduce new user-facing AI tools such as LLM or large language model based chat experiences and potentially new developer, creator, and advertiser tools. I'm guessing that means like Llama 2. We'll see. Probably though. Meta deletes 8,000 Facebook accounts linked to Chinese disinformation campaign. Just interesting that this was kind of discovered, but yeah, I guess there was a bunch of accounts really promoting China, but demoting America. I'm not sure what the goal of that was, but they came across this and they just deleted it. So interesting. And something else that came up. So India's kind of involved with this DSA, DMA rules too, because here we have Meta Platforms has disclosed its monthly compliance report for India, indicating that it removed close to 16 million pieces of content on Facebook and about 6 million on Instagram just for the month of July. That's a lot. The company received 3,200 reports via Indian grievance mechanism and took action on about 5,400 out of the 25,000 specialized reviews cases. Meta faces in adhering to India's IT rules of 2021. So India must have put something together a couple years ago at this point, and didn't mention any fines or anything. It's just clearly you can see how much work kind of goes behind this, and just complying with certain areas. But yes, that wraps up the news. We are now shifting into the technical analysis. So up here, that's just what all the analysts are saying. Nothing's really changed going back to the 10th. So almost a month. Nothing's really changed. The revenue might have changed for the year like 0.02, but again, nothing big. If it would have changed by probably a full 0.1, I would have mentioned it, but it's not even that. So not much changes, so you can look at that. Otherwise, again, last time we looked at this, it was trading at 294. We thought 286 would be an interesting pickup, and also 343 with resistance. We also had the short-term uptrend since November, and we're looking to buy the dips on this. So let's see where it stands. So right off the bat, that uptrend, you can see it's drawn in here. It is still active, going back to whatever we said, November. Yeah, so going back to November, uptrend still intact. We didn't note it, but in a way, it kind of actually had this step up happen in about February. So I might include that short-term uptrend since November. Step up trend since February. Interesting. And then still to buy the dips on this. So let's see. So right now we're like right at the middle. Like for me, what I'm hoping for is it to dip down to this green line. And it just doesn't seem to be doing that. Not since, gosh, like January of this year has it been in that bracket. The closest we got was like March. Ever since then, the blue line seems to be the time you need to pick this up. So again, I guess we just need to maybe shift the mindset a little bit here. Because yeah, I just don't know when it's going to pull back. So I'm just going to go with what we have right now, listed at fair value, but it's getting to that point where maybe we just need to elevate our expectations here, that blue line is really the buy line now, because anytime it dips, that's where it's catching itself, on that blue line. we've had some sideways consolidation here, actually, going back to June up to today. It's pretty much traded within 282 to like 320, uh, and really 282 to about 310 for the most part. But yeah, I guess it really just it overextended here, went above our red like resistance uptrend line, pulled back to an area of support at 282, stayed there for a week, and now it's climbing up. Um, yeah, let me know what your thoughts on this are. But right now I'm thinking I might actually reach for this one. Because, yeah, it's been trading sideways. I'd have to look at their financial statements again to see. Maybe they're meant to be flat this quarter. But, yeah, just sticking with the uptrend. 282, I think, is within reason. At 296, 298, um, yeah, we have 294 marked. But I think 282 would be good. So 282, if we look at it, it's this skinny blue line in here. Kind of traded sideways a little bit here in June. Then again in August, just for like a week, it caught itself there. Two interactions there. If we zoom back a little bit, it kind of acted as resistance. So we actually had it as a red line, but then when we came here, saw this support, I changed it to blue because it acts as both, and now it's just trending upwards. This might be worth picking up because this might be the bottom of the uptrend, as long as it continues, that is. So I actually might pick up just a share of this just to get something in there. I'd have to look at my position, how much I need or want to build this out, but I would I'd be okay with picking this up. Obviously, it's not like a screaming deal. If it pulled down to like 268, that's the deal. That's what we're kind of waiting on. But because this uptrend is it's churning out so quickly, I might I'm thinking about reaching a little bit. That's all. But we'll look to see if there's other deals out there. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much how I'm seeing it right now. So just a quick recap. So we have Meta here. Currently it's at 298. I'm looking for 282. I think that would be a great price. 267, that would be the bottom of the uptrend. And 294, that's like dead center. That blue line, like that's on the spot. So that's the first spot I would consider it. And 298 is not that far away, so I'm considering it now. But 282 that would be the ideal price, in all honesty. Resistance at 343, so that's a little ways away. Decent amount of room to grow still. But again, we went over all those warnings and rules, so just we're aware of that. Resistance at 343 though. Otherwise, earnings don't come out for about 2 months really, and that short-term uptrend since November, that's still in play. That step up in uptrend since February, that is still in play. We're looking to buy the dips. This is if we're now giving support to the February uptrend, which maybe we should. This is a dip, and we should pick it up, and this should be relabeled as a buy. But I'll need to sleep on it, and we'll make an adjustment if we need to. So, but yeah, let me know your thoughts on that. What if it was your decision? What would be your decision on that question? But yeah, if you have any other questions or comments, let me know down below. Otherwise, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.